Thanks for joining us again here at the Kitchen Table Talk. We're so happy you decided to join us, and we thank you. Thank you. We're grateful. We know that you could have been so many other places, but we're glad that you decided to pop in and support us here at the Kitchen Table Talk. I have Malachi Beasley here to my left, and all the way to my far left, I have Ram, government name, Tamara Johnson. And so today we here today, and what we talking about today, guys? We gotta really, it's kind of heavy. We're talking about abuse in relationships. When do you leave? Or should you leave? Or do you leave?
How you feel about it?
And how many different types of abuse? You know, someone would beg to say, well, if he hit me, then, or she, then I'm out.
The first time. That was the first time.
But sometimes we don't understand that physical abuse and verbal abuse they both have a very big effect on the individual. And we aren't willing to say, or we aren't willing to stay if it's one or the other, right? So for me, something that is just, I'm not having whatsoever, I'm not having either one, but you can't put your hands on me. That's like, that's it. One time that's it. That's all I'm giving you, right?
Right.
Where someone else may say, like you said, well, he hit me once, I don't think he'll do it again, and they'll stay there. But I'm not willing to sit and see if you'll do it again. Someone will be okay with their man or their woman talking to them crazy, talking down to them. When another person would say, well, he can hit me. If he slapped me, okay, whatever. We just got upset he slapped me. But you can't call me this and you can't tell me that, or I'm out. So I think it depends on the individual.
No, I definitely do agree with you. I've growing up, I've seen many different forms of abuse. I've even been accused of certain types of abuse. And my general opinion is I don't think you should tolerate it at all. If you feel abused, then right then and there, you should know, like, this ain't the place for me, this ain't the situation I need to be in. Personally, one instance where I was accused of being abusive, because my mom raised me a certain way, so I have very strong core values, and I don't believe in abusing women whatsoever at all. But I did have a relationship where I was with a woman, and we didn't agree on a lot of things. And I wouldn't say I'm very argumentative, because I'm not. If we arguing, I'm just going to let you say whatever you got to say, and I'll call it a day. I'm not here to argue. But I do like to debate. I do like to get to the bottom of things.
Ooh, debate?
I like to get to the bottom of things.
That's the mild word, debate.
Right. I like to get to the bottom of things. I like there to be a clear and decisive outcome to a conversation.
Whether you agree or not.
Yeah. I like for you to understand me and me to understand you. And I was with this one woman where we didn't really agree on a lot of things. Some of them were opinionated, and a lot of them were like factual things that you needed to be educated on. Okay. And the difference was, a lot of the time I would have to educate her on certain things, and she told me that she didn't like me telling her all those different things, because she said I made her feel stupid and I was mentally abusing her. I see how she could feel that way. I mean, I felt like I wasn't, but if she said it was, then it was. You know what I mean? I know I can be very nonchalant in my delivery. I'm not very tactful because I just don't try to be. Maybe I should be a little more tactful sometimes. But when there's a fact, I always feel like, if you got it wrong, let me let you know, and if I got it wrong, let me know.
Right.
But
it's the delivery. No, but it's the delivery. So if you're saying it like duh, instead of actually just telling her, no, it's A, B, C, or D. But if you're like, no, if your body language says all of that, then yes, it makes her feel like you are talking down to her.
Right.
Yeah, intellectual abuse is very powerful.
Yeah.
It is. I've experienced that. I actually experienced both sides. But again, for me, because of who I am and the strong-willed person that I am, it's not very long.
You just get rid of them if they don't match your energy.
She's like, okay.
Oh, you ain't read that book? Goodbye. That's how it is.
I don't know why that is. Maybe it's a defense mechanism. We talked before earlier that it might be some daddy issues. I don't know. We'll talk about that later on another subject. But I do know that I'm very strong-willed about who I am and what I'll tolerate.
Right.
And physical abuse has always been one. I actually sometimes used to be like, did I live in another life? Not that I believe that there's, multiple lives that you come back reincarnated or anything. But physical abuse to me is such, it like pierces right here for me. Like I cry at it. I get so emotional about physical abuse. It's just a thing that's just something that I'm not going to tolerate.
Yeah,
like
it's a deal breaker.
Yeah, it's
for sure.
Definitely a deal breaker.
And
for
I
me.
can be in love with you. You could be the man that I think, hey, he does it for me, but you put your hands on me is like a total disrespect.
Yeah.
And so for that, I'm gonna have to bow out.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll get over it. I'll get over the love part.
Right.
I will get over that. But I'm not gonna tolerate.
Yeah.
You
The
putting your hands
physical
on me.
abuse is just, and it may, I may ease out because I'm, but I'm out. I'm out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm out. Like
Yeah.
you don't get to physically harm me. Now, what me and my sister used to argue back and forth about was the difference in physical versus mental abuse. Her perspective was always, mental abuse, yeah, you can do that, yeah. But I'd rather a nigga hit me any day and get it over with. That was her perspective. Hit me and get it over with. Then constantly berating me verbally. And for me, I give words power. Because my mind is just a lot stronger than that.
Right. But if I don't give it power,
you can bitch me all day long, but guess what bitch is? It's in the dictionary. It's a female dog.
Right.
Okay, I can give that word power or I can take it away. And that's what I am good at doing, taking the power out of words. And so you can say whatever you want, way over there, out of my circle. Don't get in my, in my personal space and get physical with me. We good.
Right.
But both of them are just as deadly.
Yes, they
Because there are some forms of verbal abuse that can break a woman all the way down,
Absolutely.
where she completely feels empty, like she's nothing.
Right.
And which is hence the main or one of the main tools that that is used in prostitution. That's how a lot of pimps control their
Absolutely.
women,
It's a
through
control.
verbal abuse and
Right.
some physical abuse as well. But both of them to me are just as deadly.
They are.
And so I feel that at some point you have to kind of look inside yourself
absolutely.
and determine and decide that, this is not okay.
Right.
But for me, definitely physical, it's just no going back with
It's
that.
a no-go.
It's a no.
And you have to understand. So I'm not allowing people to talk to me in a way that I don't talk to me. You can't treat me in a way that I don't treat me. So you teach people how to treat you,
This is true.
right? So if I allow you to do a certain thing, that's something you're going to try again and again and again, and you get more comfortable with it. But if I stand on, no, we don't do that, or I don't tolerate that, or I'm not making myself available to receive it from you, it's just not happening. And I think the younger generation may be a little stronger than the older ones, where there's a lot of things that older than us, took from their spouses just because
Yeah, that too. But today, younger generation, there's a lot of abuse with the younger generation.
Yeah, I was just finna say that.
There's a lot of abuse.
I was just finna say there's a lot of abuse and
Physical
yes.
and mental.
And mental.
Yes,
They take
physical, mental, and
But why-
the key
why are they
word,
taking it?
the key
Because of what
word is
they're getting?
toleration. Probably we'll never know because, like she said, she's a strong-willed person. I'm a strong-willed person. So when I see, when I'm physically seeing somebody get abused, or I know of somebody in an abusive situation, my first thought is like, dang, they stupid. Why would you put yourself in that? But then I was talking to somebody, and they was fighting the other side, and they was talking about all the reasons they would stay and how they felt with and without the person, and all the reasons why they would never let them go. And I saw how I kind of wasn't really caring about all those reasons, but I did see how passionate they felt while they were talking. I saw in their spirit they really felt like they could not live without this person.
Well, that's a form of the psychological control. Because it's an actual, what's the word for it? It's systematic. Abuse is systematic. It starts with isolation. They isolate you from all your friends, and so it's a whole thing. I took a crisis intervention abuse class, and I was actually a sexual assault crisis and abuse counselor, and we took a class, and it's a whole process that it happens, and you don't even realize it's
Because it doesn't necessarily start off big.
Yes.
It starts real small.
It's small.
And
You
they
don't
walk you through
realize it's happening, and before you know it, you are isolated. I mean, look at the hate to say it, but R. Kelly, that was a cycle. That stuff didn't happen overnight. It was a cycle. It was a time period.
Yeah.
That just little bit chipping away at your self-esteem.
To get you to trust.
Right. And isolation, and you don't have nobody, and it's a whole systematic
Now
thing.
you feel like you need that person, as Malik was saying.
Exactly.
You feel like you need that person, and you cannot do whatever you've been doing without him or her, and that's what they want you to think. So that when that time comes, that when they are abusing you, you can't recognize, or you aren't strong enough to say no more.
See, I have a question that I've always wondered, because growing up I have some close family members, I would say, that I know have been in an abusive relationship, but I've always felt like they were right for each other. Maybe I just don't know too much about them or their relationship dynamic, but I always looked at them like, dang, y'all right for each other. But then I would see how their relationship would spiral out of control, and I'd be like, wow. Like, there was even a time where I had to pull my man's off his woman because he was ready to snatch her up and just go to town.
Yeah.
And nobody was doing it. And that's another thing. A lot of people try to stay out the way and turn a blind eye.
That part, yeah, I was actually going to speak to that. I think that was one of my most proudest moments of you, and learning and coming to realize that the things that you put in your children, I think I was telling Ram that last night, the things you put in your children, you may not always realize it's there, but it's there.
Yeah.
And when that happened, you were around a lot of people that raised you that did not do anything to intervene in that situation. And it took you to step in to say, hey, no, bro, you all right? And you pulled him off and pinned him down until he came to himself and pulled himself together. But then not only that, after that, you walked with him and had a
I walked
conversation.
into his car. I told him, I looked up to you. You my older uncle, my older cousin, whatever. I looked up to you growing up. How you gonna act like this in front of me?
Wow.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you be my role model and do something like this?
Yeah.
Come on now, do better. That's what I told him. And but the thing is, growing up, I've always known them to be together. They've always been solid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They've always been a family with a great family dynamic.
Right.
But it spirals out of control so fast, and it happens often. And it's like, where do I blur the line? Do I say, are y'all stupid for being together? I see that y'all love each other. I know that y'all passionate about each other. Y'all care about each other. But where do I say no more? Where do I say, nah, y'all shouldn't do that?
Right.
Or,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it would have been nice if you could have done it before then. However, you stepped in, like your mom said. That's commendable.
Yeah, but what he's saying is like the relationship between the two, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They do seem right, but that's part of it. That's part of the dynamic. You do a lot of covering, you know. We don't see a lot of what really goes on behind closed doors in relationships like that.
Right.
And so all of that greatness that we
mask.
see, the mask that they show the rest of the world, behind the mask, there's a lot of turmoil and chaos that goes on that we don't see in most relationships that they put up with in those type of abusive relationships.
It makes me wonder, how deep does love really run? Like, how much will you be willing to tolerate for a love like that?
That's what I would say is that's not love, but it's love as they know it. It's love as they know it,
Right.
Because we don't know what they've been exposed to,
Right.
and so that's.
But if they've been exposed to doing nothing but wearing the mask, that's what you do. You wear the mask when you go out in front of the people. And there's going to be times such as that where the mask gets snatched off, you may be trying to hold it on, but that mask, there's no way around it. At some point, it's going to come out. It's going to seep out. Someone is going to see it, whether it's someone that naturally see it, physically see it, or spiritually see it.
Right. Yeah.
But someone has to be willing to step up to the plate and say something and say, hey, that's not okay. Because that could have been a turning point for your uncle. When you had that conversation, that could have been the point where he looked in the mirror and said, whoa, I'm tripping.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So that was necessary to happen. Now, maybe if one of the older cousins or uncles had said, hey, man, you tripping, it's nothing. But someone that looks up to him, that's big.
I think they probably took the position that most people take in those type of situations, that she's going to go back to him, so why get involved?
Right, but you still have to lay a foundation that says, I don't care if that's what you guys do, you're not going to do that in front of me.
Right.
Yeah, I tell my homies all the time, like, if I ever see y'all doing anything like that, best believe we fighting. Like, I don't even care if I don't know the girl. You're not finna act crazy in front of me, dude. Like, we didn't grew up together. You know better.
Right.
It's not. I'm not gonna be like, that ain't my business. And I hate that people really like to turn.
They say it.
Yeah.
That's what they say. It ain't my business. That's his girl.
Yeah, I hate that people like to turn a blind eye to that. Maybe I'm just old school or old fashioned. I don't care. I don't tolerate it, and I feel like you shouldn't either. The more you tolerate, the more room it is for it to stay there.
Absolutely.
What do you say to the woman? What do you say to the woman that's in, they feel trapped? A lot of them, because there's so many situations. A lot of them, they don't have resources. They can't, they've become so dependent on whomever the abuser is. They feel like they can't get out. They're trapped. What would you say to a young lady that's in that situation that feels trapped? Like, all my resources, he pays the rent, he pays the bills, he pays yada, yada, yada. Well,
see, I'm the type of person that I'm not really too forgiving, as you know. I don't like that whole forgiveness word. So I won't even tolerate somebody hanging up in my face. You hang up in my face? Oh, okay, I understand we're not talking. Don't call me back. If you do, I'm not gonna answer. You won't get a hold of me until you see me in the streets. Because you hung up in my face, you thought it was okay to do that. So now, since it's okay for you to do that, I know I shouldn't be on the phone with you, right? So when I see like a woman putting herself in that position constantly over and over again to be hung up on or to be hit or to be mentally abused, I just feel like you allowed it. That's personally how I feel. But I know that it gets deeper than that. It's not black and white like that.
Yeah.
Like you said, they become dependent and all that. But at the same time, I feel like those are all excuses. Because ultimately, as an adult, you always have the choice to do what you want to do.
But it is a sickness. It's a sickness.
It
when
is.
you get trapped in that abuse cycle, it really is a sickness.
Yeah.
It's an illness.
It is.
So if she's in it, regardless to her reason, regardless to if you think that, she has a choice, if you wanted to help her get out or give her something some type of encouragement to get out, what would you tell her?
What would I tell her? I mean, I would tell her everything that I always tell the women in my life. I always tell them, like, you're beautiful, you're smart, you can always do better. The world is way bigger than you know it is, and it doesn't matter what your situation is, somebody is going through something even worse. It's not all else fails, and you can get out of it. You can save yourself. All you have to do is want it. The want to is the driving force. If you want to live a better life, then you can make it happen. But if you want to stay in your situation, if you
make that happen too.
You will make that happen. You will absolutely make that happen. I can only help you so much.
Right.
That they say God only helps those who help themselves. If God can't even help you, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Well, God can help anybody.
He helps those who help themselves, though.
Yeah, you do have to.
You have to.
You have to have a little motivating factor, but like you said, the drive to live should be enough. Who knows what the turning point would be? I've been in a situation, and the turning point for me was you hit me, and it was a wrap.
Somebody hit you?
Yeah. See, we still at the kitchen table. We learn a lot of things at the kitchen table.
Who hit you?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters.
Malachi, we're at the kitchen table.
Don't worry, it's not a long list. I'll figure it out.
You didn't even know. You wasn't even born, Malachi.
Okay.
You wasn't born.
Doesn't matter.
You wasn't born, and
He gonna remember.
It took one time. He slapped me out of nowhere. It was just crazy. Slapped me, knocked me to the ground. And I got up, I didn't say a word, and we were on our way to a function. I continued to go and put stuff in the car like I was waiting on him. Went, got my baby. It was only Yasmin at the time, and yeah, I got in my car and left, and I didn't go back. It was a wrap. No, you don't get to hit me.
Absolutely.
You don't get to hit me. And this was on the way to a function.
Right.
Like, so yeah, no, that is definitely a no-go for
That's a
me.
no. Absolutely. And hurt people hurt people.
I'm waiting for you to say his name.
That's not gonna happen.
Why is not?
Not today. Well,
Okay. Hey, y'all do y'all thing. They say Twitter, do your thing. Whatever platform this is on.
Lord have
do your thing.
mercy.
We'll figure it out.
Because that's what we do here at the kitchen table.
I
We
don't
have
tolerate
conversations. We learn things
Hard
about one another. Hard conversations.
I don't tolerate none of it.
Thank y'all for joining us here at the kitchen table talk.